definitely want to say thank you to all of you for your contributions and help in making sure this runs smoothly. And definitely a big thank you out to Melanie Reddrick, who will be our presenter for today. And so I'll do a quick intro from her. So she has her bachelor's from UNC Charlotte and then her master's out of Virginia. Melanie is really active in the community. She's really active in the AIA. And one of the big things is why we have her here is because she's active in education. So she works part-time and full-time as an educator at UNC Charlotte and also working in the community college. So one of the things that Melanie's going to look into is talking about the pathway to architecture from the community college aspect of things. This course does have AA credit attached to it, so please be sure to follow through with instructions for how to get those credits. I want to make sure everyone's accounted for on that end. And hopefully all of you have seen the invitations for this and the setup. Just understand that Architects Learn series does look at the past, present, and future. Thinks about our educators and how their pathway can help inform the future. So how our next generation can learn from everything they're teaching. So Melanie's presentation today will look at that community college pathway that not many of us probably know about. And so it's really important to get another aspect, another point of view. And I'm excited to hear more about it. So Melanie, I will pass it on to you and thank you for coming.
All right, thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen and make sure I share audio because I have a lot of good video to show today. All right, so hopefully you see my screen. My theme for today is going to be making a road through the desert. So I feel that as an educator, that has been something that I've really had the privilege to be able to do, because I generally have had an opportunity to work with students that might not have that traditional path to construction, to architecture, to this field that we all love. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that road through the desert and some of the ways that we're getting students from where they are to where they want to be. As mentioned, there is one AIA learning unit for this presentation. If you would like to receive that learning unit, you can just drop your AIA member number in the chat and we will collect those since we're recording this. So go ahead and do that and you'll be able to get your learning unit. So just to kind of introduce myself a little bit, I am a project architect with Little Diversified Architectural Consulting, working in the community studio. I'm also currently teaching part-time at two different institutions, one at UNC Charlotte College of Arts and Architecture. I'm teaching a second-year studio with some really delightful students. And I'm also a part-time instructor at Central Piedmont, and I'm teaching a Revit class for engineering students this semester. But the crux of what I'm going to talk about today is my life as a full-time educator at Central Piedmont. I started out as the program chair for the architectural technology department. And as the program chair, I was able to really work on curriculum development and kind of pushing forward that as a pathway to architecture. And I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about some of my wonderful students. And also for a year, I was the interim division director for construction technologies at Central Piedmont. So that was also another opportunity to expand what I was doing beyond architecture and bring it into construction and construction skills. So in terms of this path through the desert, I'm going to talk about two different groups. I'm going to talk about the ROC Charlotte, which is a group that I was able to work with a lot as division director, and I'm still serving on their board. And Hartley with the ROC is here with us today. So, and definitely feel free to chime in. And then I'm also going to talk about my time at Central Piedmont and some of those student stories and the things that the students have been able to accomplish. So I'm going to start with the ROC, and I'm going to start with Justice. So Justice was one of my students in my building information modeling class, and he was tough. So he had a lot of friends, and they like to play around. And sometimes when I needed him to do his work, I would kind of, stand there and say, "Okay, Justice, let's focus, let's do it." But when I saw this video of how far he's come, I understood the power of what the ROC Charlotte is doing. I'm going to show you the video first, and then I'll talk a little bit more in depth about what the ROC Charlotte actually does.
My name is Justice Taylor. I'm 18 years old. I came into the ROC at 16. For people in my area, life wasn't like everyone else's life. I wouldn't say poor people, but low income areas, not gonna find much opportunity. Before I came to the ROC, I was shy and antisocial. I was just going to school, just waiting to graduate to just work. No vision, no trade, no college, no little electives in school, none. But luckily, I found opportunity. My mom had got a phone call home, and it was talking about the ROC program, like a career college promise, all paid for, $15 an hour minimum. My mom was like, "Oh, you want to get in that?" I was like, "Yeah." The ROC program really helped me socially, helped me with discipline. When I first came here, I was overweight. I was 260. Now, obviously, I'm not overweight no more, but 189. That wasn't really my goal, but I overcame most of my goals step by step. That's really how you got to take things, to just have discipline with things. Put on my big boy pants, So overall, the ROC really gave me a vision for my future. When I started working with Messer, it started off as an internship, and then they liked how I was working. They said, "Oh, he's not like one of these ordinary cats. He actually knows what he's talking about. He's coming in with school behind him." That's really what helped.
He's excited to be at work. He wants to be here. He wants to learn. He's eager. He's asking questions. Those are all things that are good characteristics of somebody that's going to make it in the field.
I do learn a lot on the job every single day at Messer. A lot. They're actually good people to work with.
It really excites me that Justice is getting the same opportunity that I've gotten. 15 years ago, I went to vocational school, similar program that what Justice is going through now, and now into full-time employment and an apprenticeship program, and he's learning a trade.
I have my own job, making my own money, making good money. It's not just McDonald's money, it's good money.
He's going to have a career path that he can go to the management side. He can stay in the craft and continue to use his trade. There's so many different opportunities within construction that you can go.
Justice, I'm still in just awe of what you've accomplished. It's really.
I am too. I don't even believe it. I feel like a dream. Since I've been with the ROC and since I've been working with Messer, now it's like I have my career path just set up for me now. So it's just, God can stop me, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that was a fire ending. Oh, that was a fire ending. Yeah, that was fire.
All right. I'm back. So Justice, like when I see that, it just kind of makes it all worthwhile. Even the times where I had to say, Justice, pay attention. He was paying attention. And it's really rewarding to see how far he's come. So here's some images of Justice in action back in the day, back when he had the longer hair and all that. And that is the president of Central Piedmont Community College. And they were kind of showing her how to put some stuff together for a program that we were doing. They're actually working with the entire board, just kind of showing them the skills that they learned and they've attained. So what the ROC Charlotte does is it takes students from kind of high schools where there might be some challenges in terms of being able to continue through the way that some of us just kind of took for granted. So they actually bring them in after school. Remember there were times where some of the students, they would come in hungry and there was a snack machine, but they didn't have any change for the snack machine. So, you know, the ROC, they aren't just, you know, the people that educate them, they feed them, they make sure they have clothing for interviews, they make sure they have transportation for the jobs, they secure them with the jobs. I remember when Justice was going to interview for his first job, they told him it's in come to suite, whatever it was in the building. And he's like, what's a suite? Like he had never even heard that term before. And, you know, now, like he said, he's making good money. When we have interns for the ROC, you know, they start at $15 an hour, and some of them are able to like buy a car, like something that they hadn't been able to do, and also take care of their family. So it's an amazing program. It's the brainchild of Darren Ash, who we'll talk about in a little while. And he's put together an amazing board. I was on the board meeting this morning, and it's just such an honor. When I was with Central Piedmont, I worked with the ROC in terms of curriculum development, managing instructors. And now as a board member, I can kind of, you know, come in and start to see the fruits of some of these things, and also working with public relations and outreach. So it's been a really rewarding thing to do, kind of an outgrowth of my real love for helping people that might not have found the path to construction and architecture organically. Like, I mean, my dad's an engineer, so I kind of had that experience, had that exposure, but being able to get that exposure to people that might not have it otherwise is really powerful. So this is another one. This is Jamaica.
I'm Jamaica, and I've been in the ROC program for 2 years. I decided to join the ROC because, well, for one, I knew that I didn't want to go to a four-year university. Growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, and so I never wanted to pressure my mom with any more financial problems or anything. So no, I didn't really think college was realistic for me, just for the simple fact that it just seemed so out of our budget. But I knew that I wanted to do something that would allow me to work with my hands and at the same time give back to my community. It's important to give back to others, because when others are in situations where they're not given the same opportunities as everyone else, they need help. But by giving back, by lending literally someone helping hands, I can help someone get to where they want to go, the same way that the ROC helped me get to where I want to go. Being a minority in both my race and gender, I think anyone would be scared to walk into work every day and see no one that looks like them. My biggest fear was that I wouldn't be able to do it, but I obviously learned that confidence here at the ROC. The first thing we did here at the ROC was we have this ROC mantra, and so every day we instill in ourselves the fact that we belong here, that we're capable, and that goes for all of us, both the male and the females, anyone that's Hispanic or African American, whatever it is, we all belong here. We all have the same ability to prosper. I think the ROC, the biggest thing that helped me to not feel like I am a minority is by educating me, allowing me to feel that even though I may look different, I can do this. My favorite thing about the ROC is the fact that this is directly connected to my future. I am a senior now, and when I graduate in May, I will have over half of my associate's degree done, and I won't even have to pay for the rest of it. I will get done in a year, no cost to me. So, they pay for transportation, food, internship, everything. There's so much opportunity here, and it really was a way for me to make a better future for myself and not be stuck in a cycle that some system has set up for me.
Right. Okay. So the thing that hits me about her video is, you see a young lady who's obviously so poised and has so much going for her, saying that, college wasn't really even something that I considered because my family just couldn't pay for it. So like that kind of floored me again, because I'm just not in that mindset. From the time I was, 5, it was just kind of expected. Okay, you're going to go to college, even though my parents were the first in their families to go to college. So I'm not that far removed from my grandparents were sharecroppers, so it's not that many generations, but how soon you can forget. So I think it's really humbling to realize that, and to know that because of this, she's going to be able to get a skill that no one can take away from her. When she gets her journeyman's, no one will be able to take that away from her. And it's something that will always be in demand, always be well compensated. You can't really outsource somebody fixing your electricity. And my goodness, it is so critical and vital. So this is Joel. Another situation that we ran into and still run into at Central Piedmont and also at the ROC, or students that might be undocumented. So, we have to kind of work very carefully in terms of, making sure that they're going to be okay, that they're going to be able to advance, that they're going to be able to find those work opportunities. Funny story about Joel, as the ROC is doing their promotions, they actually had his picture like on the side of a bus. So he's coming out and getting ready to catch the bus, and he's waiting, and this bus pulls up and it's like his picture like plastered on the side of the bus. He's like, wait a second. So he got a picture with the bus driver, and I asked Darren how Joel's doing now, and he's got a full-time job with one of the largest concrete companies in the United States. So it's literally not just changing lives, it's changing families, and it's changing generations. So there are 2 paths for the ROC. There's ROC College, where they'll start as 11th and 12th graders, and then they'll go on to Central Piedmont and get their associate's degrees, again, all kind of fully paid for. So from that point, they could transfer and take that associate's degree and continue on, or they can go into a really stable job in construction or construction management as craft workers. They've also just started ROC Direct, and that is for students who were probably not planning to go to college, but they're getting these certifications, they're getting these licenses that they will be able to get these good craft jobs. So I asked Ann this morning, what's the demographic for the ROC? What's the percent white in terms of students? 0, which is amazing right now. It's like for ROC College, it's 55% African-American, 40% Hispanic, 5% other. ROC Direct, about 60% African-American. And it's because of their strategic locations in terms of where they're located and in terms of the schools that they service. But it's really just a joy to be a part of it. And I'm glad that I was able to kind of meet the first graduating class. They have 40 students currently. Even with COVID, they never shut down. Well, they shut down very short period of time, but they've been able to continue teaching, and then 30 in the new ROC Direct program. And I'm really fascinated to see how it's going to continue to grow. So they have internships that they do for students over the summer. We have one student that is just determined. He wants to be an architect. He really wants to be an architect. And his name is David Butler. He's a junior. So he's the one that we're trying to place. So the ones that were going into kind of construction, the trades there, they've been a lot easier to place. For the ones that just really want to do architecture, I'm just kind of putting it out there. If you're interested in talking to someone about bringing David on for about 8 weeks over the summer, it could be a remote. Then you can get any of those email addresses or email the organizers of this event, and they'll get you in touch with me or email me. We can make it happen.
That's 17 people. 17. Smart.
All right, so I did want to just give a shout out to James Shepard. He is one of the instructors at the ROC, but he actually started out with Goodwill University, which is a partner of the ROC and also a partner with Central Piedmont. So he was actually wrongfully accused and spent 5 years in prison. So coming out of prison, trying to think, you know, what can I do besides go work at Taco Bell or something like that? And he actually went to Goodwill Construction Skills Training Center, was able to get those licenses for free. And now he works full-time at Central Piedmont, but also at the ROC. And he is such a great mentor to those students. So Justice, back when I was teaching the BIM class, when he and his friends were kind of chatting and stuff, and James could tell I was getting a little bit. So James came in, he's like, I'm gonna be in the class today. And he kind of sits down and just making sure that everybody's staying on track. So he is such a joy. And this is an event that we did. We did so much traveling in terms of going to different CMS schools and doing outreaches for students and teaching them how to build, getting them interested in construction. So that's something that is another joy of mine. So kind of flowing away from the ROC and starting to flow into ACE and then into Central Piedmont. ACE Trades Day is coming up. And that's going to be this Saturday. I'm going to participate and do some kind of BIM demos for the students. But a lot of you have probably been involved in ACE Mentor. In Charlotte, ACE Mentor, they actually do their Trades Day. They held it at the ROC last year. So I want to show you a little bit about what that looked like. And then see a little bit more about how the ROC operates.
My name is Kim Gardner. I work with Turner Construction Company and also a board member for the ACE Mentor program here in Charlotte. So we're here at the ROC today doing our ACE Trades Day. We are allowing high school students to gain a little bit of hands-on experience in carpentry, steel, masonry, lift driving, electrical, and low voltage. Well, construction is not necessarily the most glamorous profession. So we're really trying to focus on the trades because of the workforce shortage that we have and all the construction that is going on across the country. So we're hoping to catch students early, let them know that this is a viable career.
Hi, my name is Margaret Thornton, and I work for CPCC, which is Central Piedmont Community College, but I work here at the ROC, which is Rebuilding Opportunities for Construction. And we are so welcoming the ACE folks here today to have Trades Day and bring all the high schoolers that are part of the city over here so that they can enjoy the day with us. And we've got people, different companies here set up so that students can really experience, different things. And it's really cool just to see the kids. They're intrigued and excited.
If it wasn't for ACE, I wouldn't be in construction management. ACE started at my high school. I was a student in Atlanta, 2005, my senior year, and Turner Construction, Holder, Skanska were some of the major leaders of the ACE program there, and I was introduced to construction. By being in the ACE program, I was exposed to industry professionals at a young age, and I kind of kept those relationships so that when I got to a point where I was looking for some experience during college, I could connect with those same professionals and they connect me with an internship. So that's probably, for me, the best thing that came out of ACE. Thank you to all the volunteers, mentors, and students for attending our ACE Trades Day program today.
So ACE is going to be my bridge into the next part of what I want to talk about. And that would be when I was at Central Piedmont, we actually hosted an ACE chapter. So you can see in this picture, the woman in the middle, her name is Olivia, and she actually did an internship with LS3P. Big shout out to LS3P, and she is currently a construction management student at Central Piedmont. And I did want to show this little video because I can't not show this because it's my children. but they would come with me to the ACE meetings when we met with the high schoolers and kind of talked to them about construction, architecture, engineering. And they had to build something that they could sit on that wouldn't break. So this is by children's effort.
The stage. Love it. Okay, who's gonna sit on it?
I don't know.
Jay, you want to sit on it?
Pick somebody.
All right, you can go sit. You can sit on it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So it worked. So there's a future engineer potentially there. Hopefully.
The stage.
All right, so segueing to Central Piedmont and some of the cool stuff that they're doing. And we're going to talk a little bit too about some curriculum changes that we made in terms of helping that pathway from community college to four-year architecture school. So this happened this week. This is Brandon Sherrill. He is one of my former students at Central Piedmont. And we actually just hired him for an internship at Little, which is where I work now. So this is him literally on Tuesday, talking with my office principal and one of the senior architects and the intern architect. And we kind of got him acclimated, got his laptop, got all his swag. And he's at this really interesting crossroads because he's about to graduate with his associate's degree in architectural technology. He's not quite sure what to do. He knows that if he wants to go on to become an architect, there's a lot more school there. He's 25 years old, so hopefully this experience will kind of help him decide what he wants to do. So this is us on a Zoom call, getting his monitors to work. And even during COVID, it was really, great to have him in the office. And this is one of his projects. So we at Central Piedmont Architecture Technology, they're part of the Coalition of Community College Architecture Programs, and they do a national design competition every year where all the community college architecture students have a prompt. And Brandon's team got an honorable mention for the last round. And then the year before, which was their first year entering, they actually won first place for all the community colleges. And there's some really good work going on in the community college. I think people have sometimes a stereotype of what a community college student is, what a community college student is not, but there's such a range of ages, abilities. But one thing that makes it a really valuable market to tap into is that there is a high density in terms of minority, BIPOC students that go through the community college first. So if we can nurture them, if we can take care of them and get them through, that's going to solve a lot of our pipeline issues that we have in the profession. So just as a reminder, it was kind of cool when I started as the architecture technology program chair. So I went in to interview and I thought I was just going for an instructor position. So my second interview, they said, do you want to run the department? And I was like, you mean I get my own architecture school? And they're like, sure. So that's a pretty unique opportunity. But when I got there, I realized that the way it was running and the way it was structured was very much in an older model where the students were kind of taught to, okay, copy this, replicate this, learn these commands, but there wasn't design, there wasn't critique, there wasn't like that kind of high level conceptual thinking. And I knew I had to change it. And with my wonderful team, we did. And I'll show you some of the great things that we were able to accomplish. So, the first thing I did, I said, I want to have a transfer agreement where the students can go to architecture school in advanced standing. And they said, you can't do it, it's impossible. So I went and I got all the syllabi and I started putting in NAP criteria to the syllabi. So I'm not going to listen to that. We're going to make this happen. So I started kind of reworking curriculum, started pulling people in to help me rework curriculum. I had so many great people, professionals that kind of helped us to rework the curriculum. And so we were able to kind of assign NAB criteria. But the amazing thing is that UNC Charlotte has been such an incredible partner in this work. So they started coming to reviews, started sharing syllabi with us, started sending instructors, sending their graduate students to teach. And then we started going to their reviews. So it really started to become a dialogue. And it's a very good dialogue. So the school went from teaching people how to draft to teaching people how to design, teaching people how to think. We got them tied into AIS. That's the AIS national president at the time, came to kind of visit the school. And I think we were one of maybe 2 community colleges that they visited because we had an active AIS chapter. So this is Greg Snyder from UNC Charlotte. Big shout out to Greg. He was one of the first instructors that was just really coming to the reviews and talking to the students and encouraging the students. And also David Thaddeus at UNC Charlotte. I mean, at this point, they have just like a slew of UNC Charlotte instructors that just actively come in and work with the students. So it's, and another thing that we didn't do before at the community college level is we didn't have what you call kind of real critiques. Like we didn't even have pinup boards. So we had to get pinup boards and teach the students, okay, pin up your work, talk about your work, defend your work. So it went from being just a passive, I'm going to receive this information, I'm going to spit it back out, to, you know, I'm a designer, I'm a thinker. This is something that I really want to pursue. So one thing that we did that I am so excited about, and Dell, I know Dell's on the call with AIA National, and we're able to do it. So the first thing we did working with UNC Charlotte is we started making curriculum changes at the state level. And that's hard to do with the community college system. Any big system, it's like steering the Titanic in some ways, because it takes a while to get things to change. But they were taking just one architectural survey course, talking to UNC Charlotte. It's like, can we get another architectural history? We invented the course. It's now in the North Carolina system, brand new course. And then the thing that really excites me, these just got approved. Real, legitimate architectural studio classes, just like we all know and love. So now, instead of them just kind of taking a drafting class here, taking a class that focuses on commercial, they'll have architectural design studio 1, 2, 3, 4. They might not be happy about the fact that they're going to be in studio 9 hours a week now, but they are. And this is something that we were working closely with UNC Charlotte in terms of structuring this. And the entire purpose of it is so that these students, when they're done, they can flow into UNC Charlotte's program with advanced standing without having to kind of start from scratch. Now, another thing they didn't do before I started is they didn't build models. So we started building models. It's like, okay, let's get some model making materials. Let's do some of these. Let's do some of these things that we're so used to. And this I love. So this is a student named Isaac. Isaac is on the autism spectrum. My daughter's on the autism spectrum. And, you know, just in terms of what they can do, see, think about, understand, comprehend is just unbelievable. In their brains are amazing. So Isaac, when things would break, he would fix them for me. But this is like his very first class with me. And he built this roof form in SketchUp and ended up 3D printing it with a powder printer, and it came out perfectly. Just, it's humbling again to understand the talent that's around us, that we don't always appreciate because it doesn't look like we expect. Like you mentioned, like I mentioned earlier, I work for Little Diversified Architectural Consulting now, which I love, love, love. I know some of my coworkers are on, but coworkers, please know that one of the reasons I jumped at the opportunity to work with Little is because of how well you treated my students. I brought in a big old group of architectural technology, interior design students to Little, and they just hosted us with open arms. So, we got on the light rail. We got on the light rail, we got on the trolley, and we went there. They fed us, they gave us tours. We were able to ask questions. And some of the people that hosted us, they were actually, that's how they started their careers at a community college. And then they went on to get their bachelor's, went on to get their master's, and now they're like really high up in our firm. So, just appreciating that there are people that took this path and that this path has been really too difficult for too long. But some of the strides that Central Piedmont and UNC Charlotte have been able to make is to make that pathway a lot more accessible, a lot smoother. So that's me at the bottom right on the tour, and I'm looking around like, wow, this is cool. So now I have an opportunity to actually work there, and the joy to be able to actually take some of those students and put them in my office with me. Speaking of that, so this is back in the day when I was teaching, we were getting ready for our portfolio show. So the student on the left, his name is Jamal Williams, and he's like one of my favorites ever. And then the student in the middle, her name is Paola, and she's one of my favorites ever. But the cool thing about Jamal and Paola is that they're now my coworkers. So Paola works with me at Little. She actually started before me. And the story that's just hilarious is the day she got the job at Little, like she said, she had pulled over on the side of the road and just was cried. She was so happy. She came into class and she's like, I got hired at Little and my salary is going to be blah. And I stopped for a second because it was more than what I was making as her teacher. And she's making that, and she hadn't even finished her degree yet. She's amazing. She's worth every penny and more. And Jamal actually works with my husband. So I get to see him on Zoom calls at HGR. And they've both been happily where they are for more than 3 years at this point for both of them. And then my Alexes, I have Alex Reinhardt and Alex Lowe. They've both been working for 4 years in their respective companies. I would give a big shout out to Creech and Associates. They've hired 3 of our graduates, and they're just thriving, doing really well. And it was really rewarding to see Alex come back for career day, as a hiring person. It's like, okay, we're looking for more people. And, it's just, I keep saying humbling again, but just realizing how making a path in the desert for someone can literally change their entire life, the entire trajectory of their lives. This is wrapping up. This is one of my last examples. So this student, I'm not going to name the student, but this student came to me realizing that he loved architecture and that he wanted to go into architecture school. But he kind of pulled me aside one day and he was like, Melanie, I really want to do this, but I have a felony conviction. Can I go to architecture school? I said, I don't know, because he didn't know if he'd be able to get financial aid because it was like a drug-related offense, things like that. So, kind of working with the school that he's going to, he is currently wrapping up his architectural education, and he will do great things. And this, I just show this model because he had not really used Revit before. And he's like, let me see if I can make. And he just kind of made this and printed it. And I'm looking at him like, so at the time he was working as a cabinet maker because it was one of the only jobs he could get with a felony conviction, because he was working, it was that type of program. But the fact that he could just jump into Revit and be that facile, that fast. Those of us that work in Revit every day, you know, in terms of making organic shapes, that's not something that, you know, you can do just out of the box. And then he's like, well, let me just pull in the Lumion and see what happens. And he started doing fly arounds. This is like the beginning of his associate's degree. So when I think about what he's going to be able to accomplish as an architect, it's, again, humbling. I'm glad to know him. So just to know the benefits of what we're talking about here, looking at the demographics. So currently at UNC Charlotte, in terms of curriculum students, just in general, it's about 63% white and about 37% minority. Central Piedmont is the exact opposite, almost the exact opposite, 37.4% white and 62.6% minority. So as we start to create these pathways for these students to flow from one to another, it automatically is going to start changing the complexion of architectural education because it's increasing access. And I think this is my last slide. If you're interested in kind of Central Piedmont, what they're doing, Travis Smith is the program chair of that program, and Nicole Rivera, who just got married, so I'm not going to try her last name until I talk to her, is also one of the amazing instructors there. There are a lot of architects that are really putting a lot into these groups that might not look like our traditional architecture and construction students, but it's worth it. And as NCNOMA, if we're really interested in increasing the pipeline, I think we might need to start thinking outside the box even more in terms of what an architectural education looks like. So that is all. I'm going to stop sharing and I can open it up to any questions that there might be out there.
Melanie, I do want to say thank you. The work you're doing is mind-blowing. Like the whole presentation was amazing. Understanding the sort of untapped potential that we've been looking for and trying to sort of take advantage of and show different opportunities. So seeing the fact that you're doing this work, it'll be interesting to see how we can apply that throughout NCNOMA and also throughout North Carolina and other community colleges. So we're definitely going to stay in touch about trying to develop that a little more. So one of the questions that we did have was how do students get selected for the ROC program?
Now I'm going to turn that question over to Ann.
Thanks, Melanie. I'm Ann Hartlieb with the ROC Charlotte. And with our two programs, ROC College and ROC Direct, students can self-select into the program, and then we have a conversation with the students and find out what their career goals are, what they really want, to make sure that this is going to be a good pathway for them. With the ROC College program, we ask the students to commit to 2 years. We have principals that nominate students. We have parents that hear about us that nominate their student. But it is a selective process. The students do need a GPA above a 2.0. Technically, it's a 2.8, but we're able to wiggle our way in with a 2.0. And ROC Direct, we have some participants that are that find us through their career development coordinator at their high school. We also have principals, again, parents, the police department nominate some students that they know. But a lot, I'd say the best way we select students is through word of mouth and other students sharing their positive experience and knowing that they have somebody in the field that can be their mentor that will help guide them through this process. Those are probably the biggest things to draw people in.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have another question back to Melanie, is how do you balance this with traditional practice?
It's so fascinating. So several of my coworkers are on, including our chief of staff. Hi, Heather. So I would say that it's good when your office is committed to the same goals that you have. So, not naming any names, but I've worked at a place that did not allow me to do this hard work. Like this is the stuff that makes it all worth it, because I'm not interested in being like an architect. I'm interested in blazing a trail for other people. It's not about me anymore. I think once you decide that you love education and you love being an educator, it stops being about you. So even in my practice, I like talking to the interns. I like mentoring them, making sure they're okay. So the only way to do it is when you're working for a company that cares more about these larger issues than they do about me logging 38.2 hours each week. Like they let me take time to be on boards, be on the AIA North Carolina board, be on the AIA Charlotte board, and work on these things, social justice, and work on affordable housing, and work on some of these pipeline issues. So you have to be with a like-minded firm in order to be able to devote the type of time that I'm able to devote to it. I'm working with little.
Definitely a solid point. Making sure that your vision aligns with the firm's vision. All right, so we have a question from Dale that says, have students transfer under the new articulation? If so, how many?
That is an excellent question. I know that we've had at least a few. I don't know the details because I've been out of the weeds for about a year, but Dell, I will find out. I know one of them, because I'm teaching at UNC Charlotte now, Destiny Work, who's actually in one of those pictures, is at UNC Charlotte right now. And when I heard about her acceptance, I heard that she was going with advanced standing. So I'll find out the details of that and get back to you. But yes, it's super important and super exciting because, thank you, Dale, because there are so many people that went and received an associate's degree in architecture technology, decided they want to be architects and had to start from zero. And that should not be. I understand why it was, but with a partnership like Central Piedmont and UNC Charlotte have, we're able to meet in the middle and make it work.
That's good. So one of the things I heard you touch on was the affordability of college. I know that's a major thing that sort of directs people to going the community college route.
Yes.
So with this partnership, is there any sort of, I guess, avenue for financial support or resources that may guide students a little bit better? So
one thing that, again, just all the stuff I'm doing because I love these students and just love people. At AIA Charlotte, I'm actually working on a scholarship right now. So we're working on one that will assist kind of BIPOC females. Oh, I'm not BIPOC female, just a BIPOC student who is interested in coming in as a freshman, because what we find, one of the big obstacles, I mean, money is a huge obstacle. Community college costs about 1/3 if you're in state as a semester at a four-year institution. So a scholarship to bridge that gap so that they don't have to work, because everybody knows what architecture school is like. If you're having to work full-time to pay your rent and try to go to school, you're going to fall behind. So that's definitely something we're looking for, but something that is just kind of a bigger picture question would be our undocumented students. Community colleges have a lot of international students and undocumented students, because they cannot get kind of traditional financial aid. So imagine having to pay out-of-state tuition prices, even at a community college, for a state that you potentially have lived in your entire life. So that's another avenue to try to get people able to afford college who might be in that state. I had a kind of really heartbreaking situation where I had a student who was about one of the most talented students I've ever seen, but she was undocumented, and she actually had to leave architecture school because she just couldn't afford it. And she worked as a cake decorator for a couple of years. She's been able to secure, I believe, a sponsorship, and now she's gone to engineering school. But just as a profession, we should be concerned when you have people with that level of talent that are being hindered from entering in the profession because of things like that, especially when you've lived in the state for as long as she had. So I don't even know if I answered the question, but I obviously feel very passionate about this.
That works. Okay, and what about students that come from unaccredited programs at HBCUs? Have you had a discussion with any of those about how their standing is?
We need to, because when I was at Central Piedmont, I remember having a discussion. It was a young man who was actually working at West Charlotte High School, where I went to high school, and he had graduated from an unaccredited architecture program at a HBCU. And he was saying, you know, I would love to continue, but I can't get advanced standing. So he was actually thinking about coming and taking some classes at Central Piedmont just to kind of get back into it. But I would say that this is a discussion that is worth having. You know, I don't know if it starts with NCNOMA and AIA North Carolina. There's already a wonderful relationship there, but this access issue is huge. Like right now, I guess the typical undergraduate architecture student is kind of college ready, has kind of artistic experience, has like a good resume, a school resume, good GPA, but most importantly, has the ability to drop their entire life for 6 years and focus. And when you're someone like Brandon, who's 25 and living on your own, he can't just stop his life for 6 years to go to architecture school. So that flexibility that the community college offered him is amazing. And now with these new discussions, I'm hoping that if he does decide that he wants to go on, it's not going to be the 6-year path for a 25-year-old with a bunch of 18-year-olds. Like there has to be another way.
All right. And there's a question thinking about different, I guess, avenues and opportunities for students. So is most of the work you're doing sort of targeting towards bringing students to licensure, or is it also highlighting opportunities where they can work as more technical staff?
I would say that in my time with Central Piedmont, most of the students, for the same reason they self-selected to not go to four-year school right away, have gone to work and at good wages. I would say that the door to the architecture firms is starting to open more and more. For a while, there was a shut door in terms of, no, we don't need draftspeople. And I agree, you don't need draftspeople. You need junior architects. So we changed our curriculum to train junior architects rather than draftspeople. And then that door started to creep open. Engineers are thrilled with the graduates, but I will say that there are many, many, many who want to do that pathway. But before, when we didn't have these articulation talks in place, they would just kind of give up on it. Like, I can't do it. So basically you're losing people. That opening that door stops the bleeding in terms of people who I can't stop my life right now for 5 years, but this will give me an opportunity to do something to get started. So I would say that as more and more students start entering the schools with advanced standing, the ratio will go up. So I hope I answered that question.
Well, that definitely makes sense. I know we do want to make sure the invitation is extended for Project Pipeline. Any of these students you have in this program, ROC, we would love to have them in Project Pipeline, the summer camp, and we can discuss whatever financial issues may arise from that. But hope to stay in contact about making sure that they have as much exposure to the field as we can possibly give them. Because as you say, that exposure is really important and access is important. So that is definitely one of our missions, to make sure that we are providing that to everyone. So I think that is it for the questions that I've seen so far. It was definitely just amazing getting an opportunity to hear you speak on this topic. It is one that I've pretty much been blind to. I'm sure a lot of us have the same aspect, even when I've been in a lot of conversation about hiring process for giving internships to different students and everything, but I think community colleges are often overlooked. So making sure that even it's a small step on our end, just bringing up community colleges to our employers, to HR, and making sure that they're getting this invitation, where they have portfolio reviews or anything like that, and preparing these students is going to be really important. So the small
100%.
steps I think we can all take charge with. So.
Oh yeah, and the work that we've done at Central Piedmont, we've already started talking to other community colleges in terms of revised curriculum. So I believe this thing will start to spread, and this conversation will come more and more to the forefront as the community college students start getting trained in the same way as the four-year architecture students. In terms of when you come out of community college, you should be well equipped to either work as a technician, or you should be able to step right into architecture school as a junior and fit in. And I believe that as that happens more and more, this the diversity issues that we see in architecture school will start to fade away. That's my hope.
That is definitely a good point. I know I went into UNCC as a M1, so I had a different background where I did, I think I came from Campbell University, so I was an art student, but I was in the class with so many different backgrounds. Some were unaccredited architecture programs, some were philosophy. So there's no reason why that can't include even more types of backgrounds and incorporate those in. So looking forward to seeing that sort of gap in diversity sort of drift away a little bit over the years. So
absolutely
excited.
Looking forward to it too. It is exciting.
All right, so we're approaching 1 o'clock, so I think we can start wrapping up. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to drop them. But I did want to say thank you again, Melanie. Thank you all for attending. Make sure that we have your AIA number so we can make sure you get credit for this. And we hope you can join us next month. We'll have Jose Gomez from UNC Charlotte.
All right, thank you guys very much. It was fun.
All right, Kelvonto. I will, it should start downloading to my computer once we get off.
Okay.
And I'll send it over to you guys with the Google Drive link.
All right. Well,
I'm like,
appreciate you.
I just like am mind blown. I just don't even know what to do with myself. I'm so inspired right now.
My markers run out of ink from trying to take notes, even though it's
Yeah.
recorded.
Dave was on another call about some legislative stuff, but I was like, you need to watch this like ASAP.
All right, I'm happy this was recorded because I'm definitely gonna have to share this with a lot of people to make sure that we can get the work done to make this run smoothly.
Yeah,
Like that can spread to other schools. Looking forward to it.
so amazing. Cool.
All right.
right.
Well,
Bye,
thanks
y'all.
again, Joel. Oh, hey.
Great job, NOMA team. We'll see you soon.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
See ya.
everybody.
Bye.